Welcome to Thinking Edge with Ed Boudreau. Couldn't be more grateful to be here today with James Nixon. He's a multiple-time author and has just an incredible background in terms of digital marketing, just incredible person. James, I'd love for you to dig into your background.
Well, thank you first and foremost for giving me the opportunity today. I'm really happy to be here. My background, yeah, I've spent my entire professional career doing technology innovation. My specialty has been in digital transformation, helping organizations to reinvent business models, operating models, and technology approaches in order to create value. I really love transformation. I love it allows me to essentially organize chaos and make things more simple and efficient. And I've done this for a number of companies throughout my career, Microsoft, Deloitte, Marriott, CNN, and now I'm at Hilton, and I'm overseeing the product management function. And basically, we are creating a enterprise-wide marketing technology platform. It's been a fantastic ride and experience.
Wow, what an incredible background. How did the book, The Pursuit of Happiness, at work, where did that come to fruition, along your career, and what drove it? What did you see? Incredible career depth there. At what moment was it just like an aha moment, or when did it come about?
That's a great question. One I get often. The pursuit of happiness at work is really a manifestation of a multi-year transformational journey that was inspired by my grandmother. To be completely honest, my grandmother was a very loving and wise woman, right? That always shared advice with me. And one piece of advice that I always remember that she gave me, and you probably heard this, some form of this before, time is precious, don't waste it, right? And I remember when I first heard that, it actually kind of freaked me out. This notion that time is finite and one day my time will be up, that was a bit concerning for me. So I wanted to figure out, how can I make the most of my time while I'm here? What can I do in order to get the most out of it? And in order to do that, I began to dig into, well, how was I spending my time? And I realized that the two things I did most with my time is that I slept and I worked. Those were the two things that people on average do the most with their time in their life. And when I evaluated, well, am I enjoying my sleep? And am I enjoying what I'm doing from a work perspective? And was much earlier in my to mid 2000s, in 2005, 6, 7, around that time frame. When I analyzed how I was enjoying sleep, to be honest, I had a mattress that was about as comfortable as cardboard. So I immediately went out and got a pillow top mattress, and I've been staying with pillow top mattresses and continuing to get them as they continue to get better and enjoying my sleep. But then when I thought about work, what I realized is that I had a job that was a great job. It was for a great firm. I was adding value, was highly regarded in the firm, but I just wasn't crazy about what I did. I was kind of like blah, like okay, I could do this, but there's got to be more. And when I started digging into that, I realized that I wasn't alone. There was at the time, the stat showed, and it's been consistent or has grown, that roughly 50% of people working weren't crazy about their jobs. In fact, they didn't like their job. And I thought to myself, wow, that's a huge stat. 1 out of every 2 people don't like what they do. Being me and my love for transformation and organizing chaos, talk about a business case for transformation. I mean, this definitely was it, right? So I spent years really just researching, digging, executive coaching, going to training, taking assessments, going to therapy, coaching others, leading teams. And ultimately, I eventually came up with a concept that's in the pursuit of happiness at work. I call it the LAW method, which stands for learn, assess, and walk. So learn your definition of happiness at work, assess whether you're happy in your role, and walk toward an opportunity that'll make you happy. So I've used this system for myself and have been very happy in what I do. And I've coached others and I've seen similar results. So I wanted to, in honor of my grandmother, she's such a giving person and made so many contributions to this world. I wanted to honor her by packaging up this discovery that I made and essentially put it in an easy to read playbook that others could benefit from, because quite frankly, everyone deserves to be happy at work.
That's incredible. I love the structure and the framework and the simplicity of the LAW method: learn, assess, and walk. How it's almost like we've all been through just this incredible year in so many ways, societal, and also the pressures in the workplace as well. How would you, if you were coaching someone, how would you walk them through the law process?
No, that's a great question. That's a great question. So typically what we do is the first thing, the learn portion. What I've found is that when it comes to career, oftentimes people have a differing opinion in terms of what will make them happy at work. Sometimes it's things that are truly important and truly matter to them, and some things it's things that actually they heard from somewhere else. Ultimately, what we really work on is focusing on the things that truly matter to them and help them ultimately get to the brass tacks and focus specifically on what their specific definition of happiness at work is. Once we have that definition, it's really about assessing, okay, now that you know your truth, you know really what you're about and what drives you internally and will make you happy and inspire you and make you engaged and more productive from a work perspective. Are you in that role? Are you doing it? And how far away are you from that? And that's a big discovery process as well. And there's a number of assessments I talk about that people can take online to figure out if they're from a natural abilities perspective, the talents that they were given that others don't have. And when I say natural abilities, there's a difference from a skill set. A natural ability is something that you're born with. You just do it effortlessly. You don't really know how you got there. You just were blessed with that opportunity. Versus skill is something that you learn, right? And your skills, you can learn them you can be very strong in them and get them to a very capable state. But there's a difference between your natural abilities. So really it's about understanding what are your natural abilities and assess those and determine if you're aligned in the role that really truly leverages those and leverages your definition of happiness. And then basically the third step is walk. Now, it doesn't mean walk away from the company they're in. It means walk to their manager maybe and say, hey, this is my makeup. This is what really drives me. Can I do a little more of this? Can you help me? I mean, you'd be surprised. Your manager wants you to stay there. Companies invest in you. They want you to stay with them. They want you to be happy because the happier you are, the more they benefit. And the more they benefit, the more successful you are. And the more successful you are, you become even more happy, even happier. So they want that to happen. So it's really about walk to your boss or walk within your company to figure out if you could create that situation. If you can't in your current area, is there another opportunity within your company that you're more aligned with, right? You can continue to contribute to the great company that you work for, but just at a different capacity. And that's growth. People should want that, continuing to push yourself and grow within your career and your development. But finally, if there's just no way for you to get from where you are to where you need to be, then you need to walk toward an opportunity maybe in another company. I've coached people that walk towards be entrepreneurs, which clearly means that we need to leave the company they're working for. I've walked entrepreneurs to go work for a company and be an entrepreneurship type of role. So it really depends on where you are. But the purpose of the book is to provide you with frameworks and tools and different things that you can use, and it meets you wherever you are on your journey and helps guide you towards happiness at work.
Yeah, that's just incredible. What do you see, as you coach people, but also folks that interact with your book, what do you see the kind of structural barriers to getting to that level of happiness that might conjure up thoughts and ways for people to think about, breaking through the barriers, jumping over them, whatever that might be?
I mean, there's a number of barriers, based on people's situation, right? There's financial barriers, there may be geographic barriers. There's a number of things. I think the biggest barrier, and the first one people have to overcome, is the fear of change. Change is tough, right? Change is tough. It's scary to some degree, especially for individuals that may have been doing something for a very long time, and to take that chance at something else can be quite daunting. And I think the main thing we have to do is to help the individual to feel confident and comfortable in coming up with a plan and being able to action that plan in a way that's right for them in terms of the degree of change they have to go through and how fast they have to go through that change or transformation.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the question I'm about to ask may sound super simple, but I love the idea around what benefits do you see, someone that has put in the law process and understanding what matters to them, assessing their true self, their true happiness, and then walking towards that next step. when someone is truly happy, what do you see the kind of like the results of that being? I'm sure you've coached people in the past through this, and like, wow, that entrepreneur that you got in me too. I'm loving my life. So like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'd love examples or yeah,
No, no, absolutely. Well,
yeah.
to answer your first question directly, I think the main benefit from going down this path, and once you achieve happiness and feel you have that purpose-filled career, I mean, it's about making the use of the short time that we have on this planet, right? That feeling of accomplishment, that feeling of you're living your purpose, that feeling that when you're at the end of the day, you're not tired from all the things you had to do at work, but you're actually even more energized, right, from the work. I mean, that's amazing. And it's possible. It's possible, right? And it's just a matter of people figuring out their definition, managing their expectation, and moving in the direction, embracing change and taking advantage of it, and really just living in their purpose. Examples of this, I give you an example of an individual that was working, a mid-level manager. He was in the gaming industry, the video game industry. He was a software developer, pretty good at what he did, definitely capable, was moving along, but wanted more opportunities to move up. And he noticed that some of his peers were, let's just say their natural abilities align more with the software development area. And he was more building skills in this area, right? So ultimately, we had a conversation, and we talked about just that natural ability versus skills versus what's your purpose, what excites you. And ultimately, he realized he was really excited about relationship management, right? He was really excited about interacting with others and helping clients and working with others and groups in the team to form and amazing products. So we worked on a plan, and he eventually moved into a business development role, which he never thought he would do. But he started thriving because he had the deep knowledge and expertise of how the product worked from his software development background. And he was able to pair that to now leveraging his natural abilities and relationship management. And when he coupled those two together, I mean, his career took off. It just completely high level hockey stick trajectory. So that's an example of exactly what I'm suggesting, because he was able to align with his purpose, his true definition. He was performing almost effortlessly, and he was engaged, he was excited, he was passionate, and he was adding significant value to the company. And because of that value, the company essentially continued to invest in him, continued to help him grow. He continued to move up, and that made him even happier. So it's almost, it's a cyclical thing. It's a reinforcing proposition, a win-win situation for him as well as the company, for him to have happiness at work.
James, what an incredible story. And I love some of the words that you're using, excited, passionate, really understanding your true why, right? And pursuing that. And this giving the impetus for change around the law process, and understanding, what would excite you, and then heading in that direction. I've been studying the concept of flow a little bit, professional athletes, or even I think about, us being in the work world as corporate athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And, that idea of flow and really bringing your best self to work by your best work, but also, how does that interweave with home life as well? People talk about a work-life balance, but, I'd love your ideas around, how could this impact your personal life as well?
Well, I mean, we know that when people leave work and they come home, that they sometimes bring work with them, probably more often, and especially now in this time of COVID, the blending of the personal and professional, working from home and homeschooling. It's just,
Yep.
it's the barriers are not what they used to be, and it's great in a number of ways, because I've met coworkers' children, right? I got to see more, kind of their personal space as we welcome them in, and what that's all about, and how they think. And I've learned so many great things about many of my coworkers. But it's also a challenge in that, the barriers aren't there that used to be there, right? And it's something that we just had to adjust to and get used to. So COVID aside, this notion of still, when you leave work, I mean, if you're frustrated or challenged or just having a difficult time at work, either because you're not playing to your strengths and not essentially being as productive as you want to be, or because you're not in a nurturing, caring environment. More than 50% of the reason why people leave their jobs is because of their boss. You don't have a boss that you see eye to eye with, or maybe your coworkers, or maybe it's an unhealthy environment, even a physical space that doesn't work for you. I love silence when I work. My wife likes TVs and music and things of that nature. I would not be able to function in that type of environment. So essentially having an environment that makes sense to you as well. All these things are very important at work for you to be happy and feel fulfilled. And if you don't have that, you could bring that home, kind of those challenges, some of that frustration. Maybe you're exhausted after just a long day and you come home and you're just exhausted when you see your family. What I found for people who are living in their purpose and truly happy at work is that they're actually energized when they're done, and they come home inspired and positive, and it's had a significant impact on even their family life in terms of how they show up. Right? They show up, they're present, they're encouraged, and that rubs off on their family, and it helps in that aspect as well. And again, that's reinforcing, because if it's great with your family, that energy, you bring that to work, and if it's great at work, you bring that back to your family. So there's just so many different benefits from really addressing and focusing on happiness at work, which again is one of the main ways that we spend most of our time. There's so many benefits from that.
Incredible. James, I'd love to end with, I love the structure of the law process and in your book, just incredible. It's going to be game changing for a lot of people. What 3 pieces of advice, if you were giving someone, would you give them, around their career, or if it's someone, looking to change because of their current situation, what 3 pieces of advice would you give them?
I think the 3 things I would think about is to, number 1, make happiness at work a priority, right? That's extremely important. I definitely do that. Number 2, make a plan for achieving that. In the book, I provide tools and frameworks that I've used over time and not all of them are mine. I mean, some of them are others, brilliant people have come up with, that I definitely cite their research and work in the book, but it's all about constructing things in a logical way, to help you go from wherever you are now to being happy. That's what it's all about. And number 3, I want them to understand how happiness, and we talked about it a number of times, creates these win-win situations. Win-win situation between your work, personal and professional, creates win-win situations between you as an employee and the employer. I mean, there's just so many positive outcomes from achieving happiness at work and living in your purpose. So those are the 3 things that I would leave with individuals.
James, this has been incredible. You're a force. Your level of excitement is contagious, and I can't wait to go through the process myself. I have your book right on my right-hand side, so I'm gonna.
Oh, thank you.
That's my task this coming week. So, James, I'm really grateful to have met you today, and can't thank you enough.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you.